Welcome to Study Room. This video is on Postal Manual Volume 5 based on the Postman and MTS exam syllabus. As per the information available with us, for the Postman and MTS exams, only the definition portion, that too, the headings given here are only covered. That is head post office, sub post office, branch post office, mailbag, phase and phasing, beat, camp correspondence, late letters, too late letters, missent articles and misdirected articles. However, the audience can check once the topics covered as per the notification issued by the department. This is 127th video from Study Room. If you have not subscribed Study Room yet, please subscribe. You can have more and more videos related to postal exams. The head post office definition is given in serial number 5 as per Postal Manual Volume 5. A post office is basically a post office which consists of a number of sub post office or branch post office attached to its jurisdiction. We call it as a account jurisdiction. Here you can see for head post office, sub post offices are attached. Also, branch post offices may be attached directly to the head post office. In most of the cases, for head post office, sub office will be attached, and for sub office, branch office will be attached. But there is exception, branch office may be directly attached to the head post office also. Now, the head post office and sub post office main difference is the maintenance of the monetary transactions of a sub post office at head post office. The head post office is responsible for incorporating the accounts of sub office and branch offices attached to it. The officer in charge of the head post office is head postmaster. To make the point more clarity, we have brought this design. You can see here head post office can be attached with SO and BO. In other case, BOs will be placed under SO and SO will be placed under HO. Both scenario is possible. To say here, all the BOs, SOs are attached to one HO for accounts maintenance. That is, if a BO is attached to SO, BO accounts are incorporated in SO account, then SO account will be incorporated in HO account. If BO attached directly to HO directly, the BO account will be incorporated in HO account. Thus, the main duty of a HO is a maintenance of account jurisdiction. And as we already told, for HO, head postmaster is the designation given. If HO is identified for a group B post, then the postmaster will be called as senior head postmaster, or we can say senior postmaster, not head, senior postmaster. Thus, this is the three important points we have to remember here. account jurisdiction, head postmaster, and all the monetary transactions of a later office are incorporated in its account. So I once again repeat, in the head post office definition, these are the three important aspects we have to remember. That is, accounts jurisdiction. All the SOs and BOs placed under HO will come under the account jurisdiction of the head post office. Then monetary transaction. All BOs, SOs attached with the head post office monetary transactions are incorporated in HO accounts. Then the designated uh, the head of the HO will be head postmaster. Only these 3 points are important in this particular definition. When we go through the head post office definition, it is always better to read the definition of GPO also, General Post Office. It is given at serial number 6, Postal Manual Volume 5, though it is not a part of a syllabus as per my understanding. What is GPO? GPO is also nothing but a head post office. In a city where there are more head post office and the circle headquarters also available in that city, then the head post office serving the jurisdiction of a headquarters, circle headquarters, will be identified as General Post Office. I will give small example of a Karnataka circle. The Karnataka circle headquarters is at Bangalore, and the HO in its jurisdiction is considered as General Post Office, which is just 1 or 2 kilometers away from the headquarters, and it serves the jurisdiction of the headquarters. That is why that office is identified as GPO, General Post Office. Other than that, there is no major difference between head post office and GPO. As per sub post office is concerned, the definition is available in serial number 7 as per the Postal Volume Manual 5. The sub post office is also a post office, basically, which is a subordinate to a head post office in respect of its account. So, sub post office is supposed to submit its account to the head post office. All the monetary transaction of sub post office will be incorporated in the HO accounts. This is a basic understanding. Then the in charge of the sub post office will be designated as sub postmaster. So this, if we understand, this is well and good for a sub post office. Then the second point you can recollect that when a sub post office situated in a town or a suburban area where there is a head post office also, then those sub post offices are called town sub office. Very simple. In a major cities where HO and SO is also available, towns and suburban areas. City means town and suburban areas. The sub office situated in town and suburban area are called as town sub office. We talk about sub post office. Some additional points we may have to remember, though it is not actually covered in the definition. So what are those additions? A sub post office will work as an account office for a BOs attached to it, isn't it? For a BO, if it is attached to SO, then that SO is an account office. BO transactions are incorporated in SO accounts, and that SO account will be incorporated in HO account. So that is the flow. Then there is one more concept called cash office concept. Normally, head post office will work as a cash office for sub offices. Sometimes, if a sub post office is also having a bank facility, it can also work as a cash office for other sub offices, other smaller sub offices. So that concept also we have to remember. Both HO and sub post office can work as a cash office. That is the point here we have to understand. Then we have to understand about the concept of MDG, Mukhya Dak Ghar. See, if any district headquarters is not having any head post office in that headquarters, then one of the sub post office available in a district headquarters is named as, or it is considered as, Mukhya Dak Ghar. However, as a function wise, there is no difference between sub post office and Mukhya Dak Ghar. Only thing is, when a headquarters, that is district headquarters, is not having any HOs in that district headquarters, one major sub post office will be identified as Mukhya Dak Ghar. That's all. Then, as we know, when we say sub post office, we have different levels of sub post offices like C class, we also called as single-handed post office. B class, there may be two officials. Then A class, LSG, HSG, in that also HSG1, HSG2, like this. So the sub post office means we have different class of sub post offices. That also we have to understand. Branch post office, it is another definitions, that is at serial number 8 as per Postal Manual Volume 5. The branch post office may be attached to a sub post office or attached to a head post office, and it is the last office as per the status is concerned. It is lower than a sub post office. And as I already mentioned, the account of a branch office may be incorporated to a sub office or HO based on where it is attached. And its account will be incorporated to the office to which it is attached. For example, if it is attached to SO, then BO transactions are incorporated in SO account. Then SO transaction including the BO transactions will be incorporated in a HO account. If BO is directly attached to HO, then BO transaction will be directly taken in a HO. The in charge of the branch post office is called as branch postmaster. If a branch post office is situated in a town or suburban area, then that branch post office will be considered as town branch office. So these are the information about branch post office given in the definition. In addition to the points given in the definition, we may have to have a little idea about a new designations which are emerged as per JDS post offices are concerned. That is, the entire JDS post have been now redesignated as BPM, ABPM, GDS. So you are aware, BPM, branch postmaster in charge of the branch post office. ABPM, that is earlier GDS, MB, GDS, MD, so a lot of posts were there. So whoever attached to a BO other than BPM are called as ABPM. Then GDS means the GDS whoever attached to an SO or a mail office other than BO. If a GDS is attached to other office other than BO like SO, HO, mail office, then they consider as GDS only or Dak Sevak. They will be considered as Dak Sevak. So that is the three clause. One is BPM, ABPM and GDS. So this we may have to remember as additional points. We don't know how the questions will be formed. The next definition is mail bag. The definition of mail bag is given in serial number 26 as per Postal Manual Volume 5. The GDS staff may find it little difficult to understand this particular definition, that is a mail bag definition. I hope you are aware what is mail bag. A bag used for exchanging its letters to branch office to SO, SO to branch office. Similarly, SO to mail office to SO. Here we have to understand in a mail bag what are the things can be transmitted and what are the different types of mail bags available. If we understand those things, then we can easily understand what is the concept of mail bag. To make it very simple, I have simplified this definition. Okay. Now, please try to understand this. What is the contents of a mail bag? The mail bag consists of unregistered articles of a letter mail. That is, all first class and second class mails will be included in the mail bag. That is letter, postcard, book and pattern packets, etc. The registered article will also be included in a mail bag, but it will be closed in a separate bag called registered bag. That bag will be placed inside the mail bag. Registered article will not be placed in as a loose. It will be closed in a registered bag. Then that registered bag will also be placed inside the mail bag. If there is any instruction to close registered bag separately, then it can be sent separately. Otherwise, registered bag will normally placed inside the mail bag. In respect of parcels, if there is no separate bag prescribed for parcel, then the parcels all will also be included in a mail bag only. If separate bags are prescribed, then separate parcel bag will be closed. I think you are getting. So unregistered articles, registered bag and parcels can be a part of a mail bag. As the sentence clearly tells, mail bag exchanged between a branch office and post office other than its account office. Here, that word you please um, read once. Mail bags exchange between branch office and post office other than its account office, mail office or a section. Account bag exchanged between SO and HO can be a part of mail bag if prescribed in due mail list and sorting list. See here, when there is a account bag between SO to HO, then we call it as account bag. That account bag also can be included in a mail bag. If it is prescribed in a due mail and sorting list. What is due mail and sorting list? A due mail list and sorting list is a list issued by a superintendent of post office where they mention what are the bags the post office supposed to close, how it has to close, whether registered bag separate, parcel bag separate, or everything should be in mail bag. So like these instructions will be given in writing by the divisional superintendent. Then how it has to be dispatched, at what time it has to be dispatched. So this information will be available. Similarly, it will have the information about receipt of bag from other units, how the bags has to be received, what are the bags needs to be received. So those details will be available in due mail and sorting list. To be more specific, the mail bag will contain the article which we have already discussed other than VP articles, insured articles, article on which custom duty is to be realized. So VP will not be there in a mail bag. Insured will not be there in a mail bag because there are separate bags, that is registered bag will be closed for VP, and insured article, there are two things. Insured articles means if it is a registered insured article, then it goes in registered bag. If it is insured parcel, then as a parcel bag. Like this, there will be different bags. Then there is one more uh, category of mail bags we have mentioned here. That is, there are three kinds of mail bag: station mail bag, sorting mail bag, and combined mail bags. And very important point is mail bags are a due bag. When we say it is a due bag, that is the bag described or prescribed in a due mail list or due bags. Suppose from HO to SO or SO to HO, if this particular bag is prescribed in due mail list, if it is not received, then the later office can question why that bag is not sent, and they can report to the higher authority also. Such a bag not received from the office. That means even though there is nothing to be sent, they should send a nil report to that office. Empty bag, they have to close and they have to put a report saying there is no article, nil report. They have to send in the due bag. As far as a mail bag is concerned, there is one more concept is called as a cash bag. See, this cash bag will be sent by the sub office or H office which handles the finance, that is cash. And this cash bag will be closed as a separate bag and be placed inside the registered bag. That registered bag can be there inside the mail bag or it can be separate also. Here you can just uh, know this particular point. These mail bag are denoted in a due mail and a due mail list of a cash office, of a sub office and of the office through which they transit by distinguished symbol F. This is very important, and the point this may come in your exam question also. Symbol F. If it is a cash bag, in the mail list they will mention a symbol F. That is finance. F means finance. However, these concepts are not there after CSI. That also we have to understand. However, for the exam sake, we have to read this as it is. So the marking of symbol F, it is not there in CSI. Okay. So what is the content here? We have to understand what is a cash bag. Cash bag where there is any transaction of the finance between the HO to SO, SO to HO. And when there is a cash bag, it will be mentioned in a due mail list that this office can have a cash handling. When cash bag is closed, it will be placed inside the registered bag, and that registered bag can be directly sent or it can be a part of a mail bag also. So I think you are getting the points. I hope you have understood the point which I am displaying now. Anyhow, I will just read out once. In case in which the head of the circle or the head of the um, circle concerned consider it advantageous that a registered bag should not be sent inside a mail bag. The registered bag may be forwarded outside. I already explained this. Registered bag can be inside the mail bag or it can be sent as a separate bag based on the requirement. Then all bags including those in nature of L bag, that is letter bag, should invariably sealed. This is another important point. So when the bag is closed, it should be sealed. Bag sealing has to be done. Without that, the bag should not be transmitted. Then the arrangements will be clearly indicated in a due mail and routing list. It is similar to due mail and sorting list. Or can we say as both are same, there is no much difference. So in this particular due mail and routing list, what is the things they will be mentioned? How the bag should be routed, whether the bag has to be handed over by hand, whether the bag has to be handed over through a MMS vehicle, or the bag has to be handed over by any other means. So like these, and how the bag should be routed, whether the bag has to go to some other office, from there it will be collected, or it will go directly to the account office, like this. So or it will directly go to the mail office, like this. The information will be available in the due mail and sorting list. So in this point, what we are going to understand here is registered bag can be sent inside a mail bag or it can be separate as per the due mail and sorting list. Then all the letter bags must be sealed before transmission. Then all these arrangements will be clearly mentioned in due mail and routing list. So if we understand this, I think the definitions what we are learning in a mail bag, this is sufficient. However, if you are very keen, you can also read. There are a lot of other bag: registered bag, insured bag, parcel bag. So a lot of definitions are available in the Postal Manual Volume 5. For a better understanding, you can read that also. As part of our syllabus, phase and phasing is the another topic covered, that is definition, available in serial number 54 as per Postal Manual volume 5. It is very easy to understand what is phase of an article. The portion where to address is mentioned, that is the portion where phase of the article. Then phasing. Phasing means arranging the article in the upward where phase of the article will be easily visible. All the articles should be arranged one by one so that phase of the article is visible upward. So why this particular thing it is being mentioned? See, the phasing of the article is very important, and it helps in a mail office. It helps for a sorter to sort the article easily. If it is a post office, while dephasing also, this phasing will help him to dephase the article easily. So phase of the article means where to address is prominently, it is available. That side is a phase of the article. Then phasing means arranging the article in a phase manner, that is phase of the article should be in the upward direction. Okay, so only these 2 points is enough to understand what is phase and phasing. Here we have just given a small example for a phase and phasing. See, phase of the article means where the article having a to address, not the back side of the cover. It's the front side of the cover should be arranged upward. Okay, I think you are getting my point. So the next definition is a beat. Beat definition is given in 55 as per Postal Manual volume 5. See, the word beat is used both in mail office and in post office. In respect of mail office, if the beat means RMS in mail office, the beat means portion of railway or steamer line over which the section works. In a mail office, in a running train, we have different sections. So the jurisdiction of the section is considered as a beat. I will explain in next slides also. In respect of post office it concerned, it may be postal overseer or we call it as mail overseer, and delivery agent such as a postman, village postman, they will also have a beat jurisdiction for their operational area. So it is clearly showed. It denotes the area in which they are required to perform their respective duties. So postman means postman is supposed to perform in one particular area. So that is what we call it as a beat of his postman. So each postman will have their own jurisdictions. That is a beat for a postman, which he is supposed to cover. Similarly, a post office will have an area to cover, jurisdictions. So that also we can call it as a beat. So the word beat is used in mail office and also in the post office scenario. So that we have to understand. So to have a better understanding of a word used in a mail office, we have brought this example, beat of a section. Section is a portion of a mail office working in the railway route. For example, we have given here the portion of railway line over which the section works by a particular train. For example, Belgaum to Harihara is a two place. When the train moving from Belgaum to Harihar, it is named as HB32, and when trains are coming from Harihara to Bangalore, it is named as Q31. So it is a different names given for that particular route. So here, when the train is moving from one place to another place, Belgaum to Harihar, and it will come back from Harihara to Belgaum, correct? Both the ways the train will be passing. If that particular route, one section is working, both upward and downward, that is vice versa, Belgaum to Harihar, Harihar to Belgaum, like this. So that will be the beat of that particular section. So that section has to work in that particular route. Similarly, they have another multiple beats they will have. For example, Harihar to Bangalore, Bangalore to Harihar, back to back. So like this, there will be different sections working, and each section will have their own beat jurisdiction. I will give another example. Going to give this particular example for you for a better understanding. For example, you just consider one train is passing, that is Netravati Express, passing from Thiruvananthapuram to Dadar, Mumbai. So this particular train, though it is only single train, it has various sections. That means certain group of people will be working from one station to another station, then they will change. Again, the other group of people will be working. For example, this particular route, it is having a different section as we have mentioned. Thiruvananthapuram to Soranur, it is EK1 section name. Soranur to Mangalore, CT1. Mangalore to Margao, Q1. Margao to Miraj, B1. Miraj to Dadar, BM1. So this is the different section name. So at Trivandrum to Soranur, a section works. Similarly, Soranur to Trivandrum also they will work, correct? So this particular route is called as a beat. Trivandrum to Soranur, Soranur to Trivandrum, it is a beat for EK1 section. Okay. Similarly, EK1 section may have different route also. This is one beat of a EK1 section. So I think you are getting my point. The next definition of camp correspondence is given in serial number 56 of Postal Manual volume 5. It is very easy to understand. The camp correspondence, or what we call it as a camp bag. This camp bag will be closed to the stations where the higher officer is located in a touring place. For example, if a higher officer is visiting some remote location and is going to stay there for 1 or 2 days, then any files or any correspondence which needs to be sent to him to that particular place, we close a camp bag. Okay, it is mainly for the touring officers, because those correspondents cannot wait for them in the headquarters itself. They may take a touring 5 days, 10 days, they may visit various offices. So in order to facilitate the higher officer to dispose the correspondence or file quickly, camp bag system will be there. So based on the touring point of the officers, the camp bag will be closed and will be sent. So that is nothing but a camp bag. Now we have different concept also, special bag also. So you better understand the camp bag. So the another concept in definition is late letters and too late letters. However, late letters and too late letters are prescribed in the serial number 56A of Postal Manual volume 5. So what is the late letter? See, in any post office or a mail office, certain business hours will be prescribed for accepting letters. After that business hours, so they cannot post, or if they are putting in a letter box also, there will be cut-off time hours will be there. So before that they have to put so that it will be connected. When a person comes with the article after that particular hours, business hours for receipt of mails, but before dispatch, there is some prescribed hours will be there between the business hours and final dispatch. If he is coming within that time period requesting to accept the article, he has to provide a late fee in the form of stamps. If he is affixing a late fee for an article, a post office is supposed to accept that article as a late letter and include in the same dispatch. So that is the concept of late letters. I will repeat. When the articles are posted in a post office or a mail office after the hours prescribed for closing of mails, but within the interval allowed for posting such letter with a prescribed late fee fixed. That means before dispatch. I hope you have understood what is late letters. Here another concept, too late letters. Too late letters also late letters only received after the closing of the uh, mails hour, but the only difference is too late letters are not fully prepaid with postage or late fee is not paid. When we receive a letter posted, if late fee is not paid or fully prepaid article is not there, then those article, though we received the article, since late fee is not paid, we stamp it as detained late fee not paid. So this superscription will be stamped on the article detained late fee not paid. Then it will be detained in the post office or a mail office itself till the next dispatch, and it will be um, taken in the next dispatch. So that is the concept of two late letters. That is late letters received after closing of mails hours, but within the prescribed hours to collect the late articles. But in the two late letters, either the article is not fully prepaid or late fee is not paid. Especially late fee payment we have to check. If late fee is not paid, then it will be retained in the article with a superscription that detained late fee not paid. So this is the concept of two late letters. I hope you have understood what is late letters. Here another concept, two late letters. Two late letters also late letters only received after the closing of the uh, mails hour, but the only difference is two late letters are not fully prepaid with postage or late fee is not paid. When we receive a letter posted, if late fee is not paid or fully prepaid article is not there, then those article, though we received the article, since late fee is not paid, we stamp it as detained late fee not paid. So this superscription will be stamped on the article detained late fee not paid. Then it will be detained in the post office or a mail office itself till the next dispatch, and it will be um, taken in the next dispatch. So that is the concept of two late letters. That is late letters received after closing of mails hours, but within the prescribed hours to collect the late articles. But in the two late letters, either the article is not fully prepaid or late fee is not paid. Especially late fee payment we have to check. If late fee is not paid, then it will be retained in the article with a superscription that detained late fee not paid. So this is the concept of two late letters. When we talk about late letters and two late letters, the late fee we have to know, though it is not given in the definition. So we have to understand this. Late fee is rupees 2 for ordinary articles and rupees 3 for registered articles. So accountable article, registered article is 3 rupees and 2 rupees for ordinary articles. So please remember this, may be asked in questions. So when we say missent articles, another definitions given in serial number 57. So what is missent article? The article wrongly or erroneously sent by an office to another office other than the office of destination by wrongly sending to other offices. For example, article has to send from Bangalore to New Delhi. Instead of sending to Bangalore to New Delhi, if they have wrongly sent it to Bangalore to Mumbai, Calcutta, Chennai, somewhere, so then it is a missent article. This happens due to mistakes of an office or official. Okay, so this is missent article. The another definition is misdirected articles given in serial number 57, where missent article is given. Here we have to understand a little bit more. So this misdirected article is the customer has written the address in a regional language or a vernacular language. That means local language. For example, Kannada, Tamil, Hindi, he might have written the address. The booking office or a mail office, they are supposed to translate it in the vernacular language to English, common language, so that everybody can understand. While translating the address, if they have written a wrong destination, for example, instead of Mussoorie, if they have written Mysore, or instead of Mysuru, they have written Mussoorie, what happens? The article will be wrongly sent. So that is misdirected article. I think we are getting. When article in a address is filled in a vernacular language or a regional language, when it is translated to English, at that time a mistake happens. Then it is a misdirected articles. Okay. Okay. Now a quick recap of what are the definitions we have seen. That is head post office, sub post office, branch post office, mailbag, face and facing, beat, camp, correspondence, late letters, two late letters, missent articles and misdirected articles. So as per my knowledge, these are the definitions given in the syllabus for GDS2, postman or MTS. However, I repeat once again, please go through the syllabus, check whether there are any additional topics covered, and go as per your notification. And I also suggest, if you are very intelligent and capable of reading more materials, go through all the definition once. it will give more clarity on the subject. Okay, thank you, friends. If you have not subscribed Study Room yet, please subscribe and click on the bell button to get the latest notification. Thank you.